Hello, hello, and welcome back to Small Screen Stories. So this is the daily show. It's not the daily show, but it is the daily show where I go over all the news of the day. And today has been a really interesting day as far as news is concerned. I'm Edward Lauder. I'm the editor of Small Screen, and Small Screen is a place where we talk about pop culture, so movies, TV shows, video games, and comic books. So let's just get right into the news of the day today, the big news, which is an exclusive of ours, which is that Rahul Kohli, who you might know from The Haunting of Bly Manor, he's currently in that and he's making a bit of a name for himself in that show. He's apparently in talks to play Ezra Bridger in The Mandalorian season 3. So we'd previously reported that Ezra Bridger was going to play a part and actually a key role in The Mandalorian season 3. And it's now come to our attention through some sources of ours that Rahul Kohli is actually one of the names involved in potentially playing this role. So if you'd been looking at this, he does he's very active on Twitter, and he was kind of teasing this, and Twitter went a bit mad, and then he released an apology video in which he said, "Sorry guys, I'm not going to be playing Ezra Bridger, even though he said he'd love to," which is kind of like it's just one of those things that tends to sometimes it does happen, and it's like just he could have been trolling people, which is what he kind of made people believe. But according to our sources, no, he actually has been in talks with the Lucasfilm to play this character, which is, I think, perfect casting for the role personally. And again, I'll just show you the exclusive on the site. According to our sources, so which I direct quoted again, I always ask them if I can do this, and some of them say yes and some of them say no. One of them said, Rahul Kohli is currently one of the actors talking to Lucasfilm about the Bridger role. He hasn't been cast yet, but Favreau and Filoni are said to be a fan of the actor. And then another source said Rahul Kohli might not have been trolling fans by suggesting he was playing Ezra Bridger. He hasn't been cast yet, but he might be cast very soon. Which is really, to me, is really exciting, because I think just by watching him in The Haunting of Bly Manor, he's obviously a fantastic actor, and he was also in iZombie, and he's really good in that, and he's been in Stargirl, so he's been in some stuff, and it seems as though his stock as an actor is on the rise, which is great because we need more actors like him. He's one of the shining lights of the show of The Haunting of Bly Manor, and playing kind of an older version of Ezra Bridger would be really interesting. Ezra Bridger is a character that you may know is one of the kind of last remaining Jedi. He was trained by Kane. So I'm blanking on his name. Kanan, I think his name is. Yes, I think that's right. I hope that's right. Anyway, I'm a big fan of Star Wars Rebels, but sometimes I do blank on people's names. But what do you guys think? Do you guys like the idea of this casting? He hasn't been cast yet. He is, according to my sources, just in conversations with the Lucasfilm, potentially auditioning for the role. They didn't tell me that specifically, but I'm just imagining that he might be. And, you know, it seems as though Favreau and Filoni are big fans of his. Let me know in the comments below if that's something you'd like to see. And let's move on. So, there have been rumors about a potential, supposedly a leaked audition video involving an actor that might be playing Miles Morales in Spider-Man 3. So this actually comes from Murphy's Multiverse. He has delivered scoops like this in the past, but according to him, there was an audition tape on Vimeo, which has since been taken down, in which a guy is auditioning for a role called Daniel. And it's well known that Marvel uses code names like this to kind of just make it secret which characters they're actually playing. Sometimes, apparently, the actors don't even know who they're playing. And according to him, the scene is actually a scene that he's auditioning for, and it's a two-part video, and it begins with a young African-American man out delivering food for what appears to be his parents' restaurant. The young man is stopped by the NYPD because he's wearing some sort of Spider-Man gear. I'll just get this up on screen so you can see it. When questioned by police, he states that he's a fan of Spidey, but it's clear that in whatever universe this takes place, being a fan of Spidey is not okay. This would certainly seem to be in line with where we'd think things would pick up in Spider-Man 3 following the events at the end of Spider-Man Far From Home. The second part of the video sees the young man first in a conversation with his father, then his cousin? ? When talking to the second person, a breaking news report airs on TV indicating that the costumed hero Spider-Man has been found dead at a museum. So that sounds like a really, really, to me, interesting scene. And we'd already Miles Morales has actually already been teased in these new Spider-Man films. So we saw Donald Glover in, I believe it was Homecoming. I might be wrong. It might be Far From Home. I think it was Homecoming. And he's actually playing Miles Morales' cousin, who I am blanking on his name again. He's also a masked kind of anti-hero in the Spider-Man universe. Let me get that up actually, because that's going to annoy me if I forget his name, because he's actually he's actually a big part in into the Spider-Verse, the character. And is it Aaron Davis? I don't know. Wikipedia's not helping me. But anyway, he was played by Donald Glover in the movie, and yeah, I believe his name is possibly Aaron Davis, but again, I'm probably wrong. Anyway, I'll move on from that because this is dead air at the moment. But the news is that we could be seeing Miles Morales in Spider-Man 3. The thing is, it's like, how old is Miles Morales supposed to be? We do know that eventually in the comics, Miles Morales does take over from Peter Parker as Spider-Man, and he's a different version of Spider-Man to Peter Parker, but a fascinating one, and one which many people believe the Marvel movies should just go ahead with and bring into the universe, and maybe even have Peter Parker and Miles Morales kind of overlap as different versions of Spider-Man within the same universe. That would be really fun. At least I think so. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below. So moving on. This is a story that I did do yesterday, but I kind of didn't really realize what was really going on, and it's involving Chris Pratt. So Chris Pratt was okay, let's start from the beginning. So yeah, I'm going to get up the story here. So a person called Amy Berg, I believe her name, is tweeted out yesterday asking, well, she tweeted out four pictures of one of each, Chris Hemsworth, Chris Pine, Chris Pratt, and Chris Evans, and saying which one has to go. And this started a whole thing. And basically the thing is that it seems as though people really don't like Chris Pratt, and they don't like him for a specific reason. And that's to do, well, two specific reasons. That's to do with his religious beliefs and supposedly supporting Donald Trump. Now, I've looked into this, and what I've been able to find out is that it's kind of really complicated, because it's like he's a member of a church called Zohar Church. I believe it's pronounced, not Zoe. It's spelt Zoe, but I think it's Zohar Church. And it's a church in LA, and it's a church where a lot of famous people go. Apparently, it's just Selena Gomez goes there or went there, and it's one of these kind of very famous churches that a lot of celebrities seem to go to. And it was kind of Chris Pratt was called out on this church specifically by Ellen Page, claiming that they were against the LGBTQ community. And looking into it, I'm like, well, it seems as though it's actually another church called the Hillsong Church, which is actually connected to the church that Chris Pratt's part of. And then Chris Pratt actually released a statement about this afterwards. He actually said, despite what the Bible says about, well, he talked a lot about his personal beliefs, and that kind of he doesn't believe everything that his church, believes in, let's say. And he kind of he spoke about his divorce and how they really helped him through that process. And he said, they helped me tremendously, offering love and support. It is what I've seen them do for others on countless occasions regarding of sexual orientation, race, or gender. He then added that no church defines me or my life, and I'm not a spokesman for any church or any group of people. And then at the end, he just said, Jesus said, I give you a new command, love one another. This is what guides me in my life. He is a God of love, acceptance, and forgiveness. Hate has no place in my or this world. So it's kind of like, and also he's never voiced support for Donald Trump, but also it's like there is a problem with cancel culture here. It's kind of like things get said online and people kind of run with it and don't really bother to look into it and actually fact check things. I mean, we see it with, I don't really want to get political here, but we do see it with Donald Trump, for instance. Nothing is like he says a lot of things and things don't get fact checked, but it's also on the other side as well. It's on both sides. And it's like, you really, I mean, is it right to cancel Chris Pratt because of this? I don't really think so, but people are definitely going for it. And yes, it does look like he's the least popular Chris at the moment, which is, you know, maybe he can, I mean, give it time. Maybe people will forget about this and move on. And actually people will start looking into things and realizing that there actually isn't that much evidence of Chris Pratt being a Trump supporter. He probably is a Republican, but then again, I mean, I know there are lots of Americans that are. I mean, I think this probably isn't the best place to talk about politics, and we'll probably move on from this subject. But it's just kind of like one of those things. It's kind of slightly frustrating because it's like people don't really do their research and look into these things and just, you know, get the hashtag cancel Chris Pratt trending because they don't like Chris Pratt, and everyone loves a juicy story. What do you guys think about this? Let me know in the comments below. And let's move on, but stay within, I suppose, the Marvel Cinematic Universe, because Chris Pratt is technically part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So Michael Rooker has been talking recently about his character Yondu in the Guardians of the Galaxy movies. And if you remember correctly, spoilers, by the way, spoilers. If you haven't watched Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, Yondu dies at the end. I did say spoilers. But he's been talking to comicbook.com, and he was asked whether he'd ever like to return to the Guardians of the Galaxy movies as Yondu. And he actually said, what he said was quite interesting. He said, I don't know how they could do it, but of course it's possible. Anything is possible in the Marvel universe, you know. There's time traveling and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, of course it's possible. But will they be able to afford me? I don't know. At Marvel, they don't have a lot of money, you know. It's really tough out there. So of course he's joking around. But he's insinuating that he would like to return. And I don't really think anyone would be against him coming back as Yondu. Of course, they are messing around now with the multiverse, so there is a way that they could bring him back. He was one of the most layered characters, actually, in the Guardians of the Galaxy movies, because he did start off as kind of this nasty pirate that was saying he would eat Star-Lord. And he kind of ends up as his father figure for him. And his death scene is really, really sad and really heartfelt. And it's one of his performance, Michael Rooker's performance as Yondu is perfect. It's really spectacular. He loves working with James Gunn. We know that he's in a lot of his movies. He's been in a lot of his movies over the years. So I think it might have a lot more to do with whether James Gunn would direct another Guardians of the Galaxy movie after Guardians Volume 3. Will he be in Volume 3? We still don't know. I haven't heard anything about that, but maybe he could very well be. Especially if they're messing around with the multiverse. We know that they're going to be messing around with it in Spider-Man 3. We know that they're also going to be messing around with it in Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. Would you guys like to see Michael Rooker return as Yondu in the Guardians movies, or just the Marvel Cinematic Universe as a whole? Let me know in the comments below. Moving on. So this is a story that I think is quite fun and quite interesting, but it's all to do with Tobey Maguire and Spider-Man. Yes, there's been a lot of Spider-Man news. I'm sorry, but it's just one of those things. People are writing a lot about it. And it's being rumored that Sony Pictures are considering making a Tobey Maguire standalone movie. And this comes from a guy called Daniel Richman, who is a kind of serial scooper. He has a Patreon page, and he releases a lot of these supposed scoops. And this one is another one of those ones that again, it's a rumor, so take it with a big pinch of salt. But according to him, Sony are thinking of making a standalone Spider-Man movie starring Tobey Maguire. And this Spider-Man movie would be kind of similar to, is kind of what the Joker was for the DC Comics movies, in a sense that it's not tied to the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Like this Spider-Man movie wouldn't be tied to the Marvel Cinematic Universe in the same sense that that Joker wasn't tied to the DCEU. And I think that's really interesting, because it would allow Sony Pictures to really explore the character a bit more and not be kind of, I suppose, I mean, these new Marvel Spider-Man movies have been great. They've been really, really good. I've loved them, but there has been kind of a lack of, I don't know, there was something else that was really quite special with the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man movies, and they could explore maybe some darker themes, but no one wants to see a depressing Spider-Man movie. This isn't like, they're not thinking of making a dark Spider-Man movie in the same vein as Joker. No, all they want is to be able to explore different things and not be tied down by the MCU and have to have everything connected and just making sure that everything's okay with Marvel, because this movie would technically be set in another universe, in another Earth, let's say, in the multiverse. So they could kind of do what they want. It's like a blank page for them. And I think it's a really good idea to start doing things like this that are a bit outside of the MCU, maybe explore other areas. There's also rumors that Marvel is going to let Sony make their R-rated movies. So there's scope here for something really interesting that doesn't have to be completely tied into the MCU. They are kind of doing this already with the Venom movies and Morbius, but those movies still are connected to the MCU to a certain extent. They're still in that same universe, and there's still only so much they can really do. So I think it's really interesting. It's a rumor. Again, it is a rumor. It's not fact. It hasn't been reported by the trades, the main trades, Variety, The Hollywood Reporter, Deadline. So who knows? But I really like the idea. Do you guys like the idea? Would you like to see a standalone Spider-Man movie starring Tobey Maguire? We already know Tobey Maguire's coming back. Supposedly coming back in Spider-Man 3. I've been told that it's actually later, but, we'll let that one just stay there, whether it will happen or not. I'm quite excited either way. But do you think it's a good idea? Let me know in the comments below. So we're going to finish off this stream with, it's not nice news, but it's news. This morning, this is actually what I woke up to this morning. It was that Jeff Bridges had been on Twitter and actually revealed that he's been diagnosed with lymphoma. So it's a form of cancer. And Jeff Bridges is an iconic Hollywood actor. He is, you would have known him. You must have watched him in The Big Lebowski. He played the dude in the Big Lebowski. He was an Iron Man, so it's Marvel related. Of course, he was the very first Marvel villain. He was in Tron and Tron Legacy. He's been in loads of stuff. He won an Oscar for his performance in Crazy Heart. And it was, he revealed this actually. He revealed this on Twitter, and he said, as the dude would say, new shit has come to light. So I don't like to swear on the stream, but I've been diagnosed with lymphoma. Although it is a serious disease, I feel fortunate that I have a great team of doctors and the prognosis is good. I'm starting my treatment and I'll keep you posted on my recovery. He then added, I'm profoundly, but he actually added he had a tweet below that in which he was trying to instigate people to go and vote in the upcoming election in the US. And it's just, he said, I'm profoundly grateful for the love and support from my friends and family. Thank you for your prayers and well wishes. And while I have you, please remember to go and vote because we're all in this together. And then he posted a link to vote.org and he finished it off by saying, love, Jeff. And Jeff Bridges he's one of my favorite actors of all time. I think I just love him in everything he's in. I don't think I've ever seen a Jeff Bridges performance that I haven't been kind of impressed with. He was in True Grit, one of the Coen Brothers remake of it, and I thought he was fantastic in that film. He's brilliant in Crazy Heart. I think he really did deserve his Oscar. And he's a living legend in the world of in the world of Hollywood, in the world of cinema. He's one of the greatest actors to have ever lived. And I really mean that, and I'm not just saying that because of this of what's come to light today. But he's a brilliant actor, and I'm sure many of you out there will be wishing him all the best of luck, and hopefully he can get through this, and we can see him in more movies, and just hopefully his friends and family are okay as well, and that he's okay as well. I'm sure it's a very difficult time for him. But on that rather bum note, I will end the stream. You can follow us everywhere at Small Screen GB. That's on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. You can also follow me at EJ Lauder on Twitter. And if you want to write for us, again, we've had loads and loads of features on the site. Please go and read them. They're fantastic. There's a great feature on there about the 13 best films. On the 13 best films about witches to watch this Halloween. There's a fantastic feature on everything you need to know about Stargirl Season 2. A brilliant feature on Die Hard, a franchise desperate to die hard. Loads and loads of reviews from the London Film Festival and from the Scottish Independent Queer Film Festival, which are going on at the moment as we speak. So please go to Small Screen and read those from some fantastic writers. And they've been doing brilliant stuff for me over the last couple of months, and I'm very grateful. I will release this as a podcast. If you don't like to watch videos on YouTube or Facebook, this will be out as a podcast as well. I tend to release them a couple of hours after the live stream. And yeah, thank you so much for watching, guys, and listening. And I'll see you again tomorrow. Thank you. Goodbye.